Well, hello once again. I am slowly but surely making my way through this mechanical adjustment procedure. I kept calling it an alignment procedure, but it's really not. It's an adjustment procedure. And I've done several things to the rear of the mechanism already. A lot of it's so complicated and so many little tiny steps. It would take me 20 videos just to show it to you. Just follow along with the book and the photographs if you ever have to do this. It's pretty simple. Just take your time. Anyway, one of the steps I came to is the trip solenoid. Now the trip solenoid fits down in here like so in a vertical position. And it sits on a slug. Now this slug is right here. And this slug fits up through the center like so, okay? And then the bottom part where that crossbar is fits in a slot that you can see down at the bottom down there. So it just sits down there and waits for the let me go ahead and slip it right on here. It just waits for the coil, the trip solenoid coil, to be slid down over the top of it. And there's a bracket on the bottom that holds it. It's got two screws that sits on the bottom down there. Then there's another bracket that sits on the top. It's got two holes right there. This is what the other side looks like. It's conical. And the top of the slug, as you can see, or the plunger, whatever you want to call it, is also conical. So it fits up in there, okay? At first I thought it was broken, but I said, no, it's not broken. That's just the way it is. This is kind of a soft thing for it to hit against, so it doesn't break. I mean, looks like it's copper all the way. Might be some soft copper, maybe a little tin mixed in, or a copper plated aluminum or something. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted you to know that this thing right here slips on and off. Just nothing else holding it on but that crossbar. And the whole procedure calls for, let me sit down here. The whole procedure calls for the 4 screws I just showed you to be loosened up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the entire thing would have to be moved up and down in order to adjust this little bar right here. Now, of course, when you move that coil up and down, this bar is not going to go. You have to kind of manually hold it and push it up to see if it'll go up into that coil to the right amount. As you know, they don't tell you this. They don't tell it to you. They just say adjust it vertically, adjust the coil vertically after loosening the screws. Well, I was adjusting it vertically up and down like that, and nothing was happening to this little trip switch or whatever they call it there. I don't know what they call that thing, trip bar. It's in the procedure. I can't even remember. They got so many names for so many things. But I couldn't figure out what is going on. Why I'm lifting it up and down and nothing's happening. And then when I took the coil off, I saw it was in 2 pieces. I said, well, no wonder it's not happening. It's broken. But then I said, nah, that can't be right. So what I have to do is hold it up with my finger, I guess, and see if it'll go up in there far enough to give me the required amount of space needed. I just wanted you to see that. I'm going to go ahead and clean it out. There, it does get a little stuck. I talked to Harry Hall, our good subscriber Harry Hall. He said that he's had to clean these things because they get stuck a little bit, and this one here is having the same problem. It's kind of stuck at the bottom down there. I'm going to have to kind of sand that out a little bit, I think. Try to get some of that crap out of there so it'll slide in and out. You can see some of that blackness. It's really built up over the years. Get a little clearer there. There you go. I'm going to have to clean some of that out for sure. Alright, a little bit of shine here and reamed out on the inside with some wet dry sandpaper with alcohol. Use that as my sanding medium, and now she just slides in and out real nice and easy, nice and clean, not a problem, top to bottom. Let's put her back together. This old trip layer used to be hard to go up and hard to go down, and I contacted Harry Hall, and I said, hey, how hard is that supposed to be? He said, well, you know, it's a little bit of effort, but he said he's had to clean several of them. Well, look at it now. Just barely touch it, goes right down, half as much as what it used to take. So I'm real happy about that. Now, of course, the last thing, I messed with the coil, and I want to make sure that I didn't screw something up. So these 2 wires right here, I got this to the anode of the diode, and the other one comes down and hooks to this right here. Let's see if I got See if I still got continuity. I hope so. Alright, we're good to go. I didn't screw it up. Next step. One other thing before we move on. This little gizmo here with the wire sticking up moves that white piece of plastic on the spring. And over here you'll see this, it pushes down. If I can get a nice clear shot here, there we go. It pushes down that silver button. This is a microswitch. See the silver button? What happens is that is connected to the arm, the pickup arm, or the tone arm, whatever you want to call it. And as it goes in, you'll notice this thing moves, okay, with it. When it gets to the end of the record, that microswitch makes contact. And that tells the machine that the record is done, and you know, the record is put back into the rack. That's as simple as I can say it, because that's all I know. Anyway, I knew that that microswitch was not making good contact because I had ohmed it out with my multimeter, and I could shove it all the way back like that and it wasn't making contact. So let's test it now. You adjust that thing by loosening up. I can find my old pencil here. Here it is. You adjust this thing by loosening up that Allen wrench head thing there and then moving it back and forth. See that slot right there? Because if your arm gets all, the problem I was having was the arm was going about like that far, and it was not telling that it was not enabling the microswitch to engage. You know, you don't want to be bending this wire, and you want to be careful of this little spring right here too. Leave it alone. Leave this alone. Just loosen this up, which I did, and adjust it. So let's see if I'm making contact now, which I was not before. Let me get my gator wire here. Alright, we'll hook up the gator wire. I'll tell you what, let's just hook up that like that. We'll just hook up this one like that. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just take this thing with my hand, or I'll just use the tone arm, see, and go like that and see if we get any contact from that microswitch that we were not getting before. It's just a whole slew of things on this machine that's messed up. Okay, in. There we go. Out. In. Okay. Good to go. I'm going to leave it just like it is. I've tightened up that little Allen head screw there, or bolt, and whatever you want to call it. Just don't over tighten this stuff, you know. Don't be a gorilla when working on this machine, or any machine like it actually. I'll tell you what, guys, this alignment, or this adjustment, has not been easy actually. I mean, you know, moving the screws and the nuts and all that with a screwdriver and a spin tight and all that crap, that's no problem, you know, loosening everything up. But if you follow the instructions exactly, what happened was the transmission clutch, the clutch jammed up on me, and I couldn't get this thing to move at all. So I must have tightened up this too tight or something. But I had to wind up taking the record rack off and the toroid memory unit in order to get that thing to break free where it'll go. See? Now this down here, by the way, this is when this little set of relay, this here, that's when that comes across and hits that right there. That's what makes this add and subtract thing hit. I'll move it a couple times to show you. Okay. Anyway, we're still humping and bumping away on this. I'm going to have to start from scratch on all these back adjustments around this clutch. And then when I get to the part where I need to align the entire mechanism with one of the slots on the record rack, I'll have to put the record rack back on. By the way, the record rack, when I first got it, was only held on with 2 screws. And I couldn't understand why. Well, I'll tell you what, I know why now, because 2 of those slots, one on each side, is adjustable so the rack can go back and forth. The other 2 are not. So if I put all 4 screws in, I could not adjust it back and forth because the other 2 that didn't have the slot wouldn't allow it to move. So I'm back to just putting 2 in. What I had done, I had gone out and bought nice new Allen head screws and everything to put that record rack in. Well, I got news for you. There's only going to be 2 going back in. I think the 2 front ones are the ones. Let me see. It would be the 2... No, I guess it's the 2 rear ones. The 2 rear ones. They just would not allow it for some reason to adjust. I don't understand that. Anyway, we're just going to go ahead and put it back in with 2 like it was originally. So let's keep poking and stroking. I don't know if I'm going to get this done in a day or two or not. If not, I'll just let you know. We'll just pick it up again in the next video. You know, the more I go through this alignment or adjustment, I'm going through it a second time. I have to. I have to start from scratch and figure out what I did wrong, because somehow I jammed up the clutch and the motor wouldn't work. So as I go through it a second time, I'm beginning to get a better understanding anyway. I imagine if I went through a third and fourth time, I'd be a professional. Nope, never going to happen. Not with this. But you know, the guys that built this thing, you know, they had to have been a little touched, you know. I mean, look at the crap. I mean, everything had to fit just right. Tolerances had to be just so, or the record would not have come out. The record would not have come in. The turntable would not have been spinning. This thing would not have gone in like it's supposed to. All these little contacts would not have made and unmade. Unbelievable. You know, they had to have been a little wacky. Of course, we're all wacky, all of us. Every one of us that work on this kind of crap. I mean, take old 64 Go. You can't tell me he's got it all together. Well, we're still rocking and rolling, and I found out it's the little things that'll get you. It says here to adjust this roller here. There's a little roller. Let me zoom in here. Put it on the high point of a sprocket. Let me get a little clear there. There we go. Now there's the sprocket. It's got teeth on it. And this is the roller. You're supposed to roll the sprocket around using the motor. You know, you got this. You're supposed to take this baby right here. If I can back up a little bit, show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, you're supposed to move this with your finger back and forth, and it turns the motor, which in turn, you know, turns this mess down here, and you put your roller on top of one of the sharp teeth, like right there. Keep turning it until it lines up like that. Well, that's what I did last time, and that was the wrong way to do it, because over here is the real roller and the real sprocket hidden way down inside there. I couldn't believe it. So it's right here, if you can make it out. That's the high point of the gear. You can't hardly see it down in there, and the roller is underneath this thing right here. Totally fooled me. And then of course you have to adjust this screw. I was adjusting the screw properly, but watching this gear and this roller instead of this right here. You're supposed to adjust it until the play is taken out, and then you back it off 2 turns. You got to be careful with this stuff, you know. Alright folks, I'm kind of at a stopping point here until I consult our experts who have worked on these things, Harry Hall in particular. On the rear, where the clutch mechanism is 3 adjustments. You've got one here, and there's one. Let me see, one here, yeah, one here, one down here, and one here. Now I've loosened them up per the adjustment procedures in the manual. Then it says to come over here and make sure that the unit is in the play position. Let me get some of this stuff out of here so I don't break everything. Now that means that when I lower this trip switch down, it should go into the play notch on the cam. Anyways, I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm going to get the flashlight and show you when I lower it. Let me show you the cam. I'm almost certain this is the play notch down in there. I don't know if you can see that stupid notch or not. Let me see. Yeah, you should be able to see it. There's a notch in that wheel. See that notch way down in there? See that horizontal bar with that notch directly under it? Looks like a black half a square. That's a notch. Let's see if I can get this light to show it a little better. Now what's supposed to happen is when I push this trip lever down, there's a roller that's supposed to drop down in that notch right there. And that roller is attached to this arm. And what's happening is, it says to make sure that the roller is completely down in the notch. It's supposed to be the play notch. As you can see, you can still see some black there directly underneath that rivet. Between those 2 rivets, I guess is what they are. That ball is not completely down in that play notch. There's a scan notch and a play notch. The scan notch is larger than this one. Now, I should be able to take and turn the shaft on the motor over here, like so, with my thumb. get that thing to turn and make that thing, you know, that thing rotate back and forth, that camshaft, to where that roller will drop down in that notch, but nothing's happening. However, I think I'm into play mode, because when you're into play mode, if I turn the shaft with my hand on the motor, the turntable will turn, and that's exactly what's happening. Let me get over here. See it turning when I turn it by my hand? I think that's the play mode. Alright, how do I do this, Harry? How do I get this camshaft to turn, and so that thing will drop down in that play notch, and I can go ahead and adjust those 3 adjustments on the rear? Anyway, that's the problems for today. I haven't been able to solve them, and you know, if I don't get them solved, I can't move on. If I can't move on, it means more and more videos. You guys are going to be driven nuts. This will be one of them 500 video deals. You know, old Goaty already says it's 75 videos. Yeah, right. I'm going to try to keep it below 75. Anyway, that's it for today. Till next time, this is John. Well, we can't stop now. You know, I went in the house, had a cup of coffee, watched a TV show, or a news show, actually. And, you know, I got to thinking, I said, look, I just can't be bleeding all over you guys just because I have this problem on figuring out how to get this thing into the play position, into the play notch, which is right here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This sprocket has a very deep notch, which is a scan, and it's got a very shallow one, which is the play notch. My question, when I left off, I had the deep one at the top, and this roller was down in it. Okay, that was the scan notch. How was I supposed to get the play notch to come on around and take the place of the scan notch? You know, this would put the scan notch at the bottom and the play notch at the top. And that roller. How do I do that? You know, I was in the wrong position before. They don't tell you how to do that. You got to kind of, I don't know, you just got to kind of figure it out on your own, or take the jukebox and throw it in the local lake. I'm not sure which. Anyway, I came out and I've been at this thing for about a half an hour, and it finally occurred to me that maybe if I back this screw all the way out, then maybe I can go ahead and turn this motor shaft with my hand and cause that cam to rotate and bring that notch around. Well, it sure did. And right here, you will see, there's the notch right there. See it? That's the notch I need to have at the top. That's the shallow notch, the play notch. And I'm turning it. See it moving its way around? There we go. It's moving its way to the top, all the way around. Well, she's playing, but she's not going anywhere. I got it in the play position. Can't figure that out. I've got everything set up exactly the way the book said to do it. Let's try this. Yeah, if it just moved to the other end, I'd be happy. I don't know how this happened. She just doesn't want to go. Oh well, that's it for today. We'll tackle it again tomorrow.